part of the problem, meaning those who are far right, who spread hate against Islam, who lie against our Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, those who portray that Muslims are here in Europe to take over and to force every person to become Muslim. However, the reality here exposes the liars. Alhamdulillah, Speaker's Corner, likewise worldwide, in Britain, likewise in America, we have many stores, dawah stores, CC Dawah. Our brothers out there having nice conversations with the non-Muslims. And you see, alhamdulillah, those who are non-Muslims, who have sincerity, who have rationality, who have a sound intellect, accept Islam without us using any spoon or a fork or a sword, rather using a beautiful speech. Today, my brothers and sisters, likewise for the non-Muslims, you have to understand that all of this lie against Islam, all of this deception, just to turn you away from worshiping your Creator. Because in Islam, the first and the most important thing is that you have to worship your Creator. You have to be grateful to your Creator. That's why you see the Muslims all the time asking and telling the people that worship your Creator. Be grateful to your Creator, the Creator of the heavens and the earth. Allah mentioned the Quran, وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولًا أَنِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ. We have sent the messenger to every nation, proclaiming, worship Allah and stay away from the false gods. Likewise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in his noble book, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ مِنْ رَسُولٍ إِلَّا نُوحِي إِلَيْهِ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنَا فَاعْبُدُونَ. We haven't sent the messenger before you, O Muhammad, except to reveal to him that there is no one worthy of worship except Allah. So worship Allah. So Islam calls all mankind, and the teaching that the messenger of Allah came with, to call all mankind to be grateful to their Creator, the one who showered them with his mercy and with his blessings. And everyone, most of you know the example that all the time that I utilize, the example of the blessings of the eyes. If any one of us here, someone give you £2 million, you'll be very grateful to him. You will remember him all the time. However, if he give you £2 million on a condition, giving you 2 eyes, or giving you 2 eyes, you will never do that. Why? Because you know your 2 eyes is more valuable than £2 million. So why don't you be grateful to the one who gave you 2 eyes for free, to the one who provides for you, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned. So my brothers, inshallah, this rain hopefully is going away, inshallah. But today I have a special guest, our brother Hassan, a Somali here. So inshallah ta'ala, this brother originally from here, however he's an American now, he will be delivering a talk, inshallah ta'ala. So wait for him, inshallah ta'ala. Even if it's going to rain, go hide in that place or the car park downstairs, inshallah. And don't leave, because it is important for the people to hear the true teaching of Islam. Because there's many liars here who lie against our Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam. Those who support us, those who are the best friends of ISIS, those who justify ISIS actions, those who justify the far right actions. So all of us, the Muslims and the non-Muslims, we have to stand together against them. Meaning stand together, don't listen to them. They are liars. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned about his prophets, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We haven't sent you, O Muhammad, except a mercy to all mankind. However, we have to be realistic to ourselves. We have to be honest with one another. Yes, those far right, if every time they hear these Christian missionaries, the liars, keep saying that Muslims are here to kill every non-Muslims, of course they'll be scared. Of course they'll be worried. No doubt about that. However, we are here, alhamdulillah, many people becoming Muslims without forcing no one. Alhamdulillah, 2 weeks ago, someone became Muslim. تفضل خلاص no ignore him.
Alhamdulillah, all praise belongs to Allah, the Lord of the whole of the creation, and peace and blessings upon the final prophet and messenger who came to confirm the message of every prophet and messenger that came before him. The reality is that Islam is a religion that is in accordance to divine revelation. It is in accordance to our natural fitrah, the way Allah created us, and it is the religion that is in accordance to our logic. And that is why the Islamophobes and those who want to preach xenophobic attitudes towards the Muslims, they want to spread lies and they want to demonize Islam and the Muslims. The reality is of which Islam was spread not by the sword. This is a myth that the far right want to present to the world. In reality, Islamic history, it proves that that is a lie and a fabrication. Rather, if we look, when the Prophet ﷺ, he came and he was sent to the whole of mankind, and he came with La ilaha illallah, none has the right to be worshipped in truth except Allah alone. We found that you had slaves who would embrace the message of Islam. You would have the nobles from the Quraysh like Abu Bakr who embraced the message of Islam. And Allah Azza wa Jalla, through the Quran, He opened Medina, a whole city. Do we have any example like that? Where a message, because of its clarity, it opened and it conquered a whole city. There was no sword. A whole city was opened by the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And brothers, the point I want to make today, inshallah ta'ala, alhamdulillah, we have beautiful weather. I want to be brief. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, is that Islam, it is simple, especially for the non-Muslims. Islam, it is the religion of Jesus. It is the religion of Abraham. It is the religion of Moses. It is not, barakallahu feekum, it is not a religion that is extreme. Was Moses extreme? Was Jesus extreme? Was Abraham extreme? Was Adam extreme? Was Noah extreme? No, they were not. They were the best of mankind. The prophets and the messengers. What was their message? Their message was consistent from the first of them to the last of them. The message was what? Worship Allah alone, the Lord of Moses, the Lord of Jesus, the Lord of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and forsake all types of idolatry and paganism. That was the message of Jesus. If you look in the 10 Commandments, one of the 10 Commandments, number 1 is what? You shall have no gods besides me. That is the message of Islam. That is not the message that we find Christians promoting here and everywhere else. That Jesus is God, some of them. That Jesus is the Son of God. The Trinity and the like of these things. That does not make sense. And rather it opposes the message of all of the prophets and messengers. That's why Allah said in the Quran, there's a beautiful verse. A verse that conquers the arguments of the atheists. A verse that conquers the arguments of the polytheists. It is the saying of Allah Azza wa Jal, أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ أَمْ هُمَ الْخَالِقُونَ. Were they created from nothing, or did they themselves create themselves? There's only one of 3 possibilities. أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ. Were they created from nothing? That's impossible. That's what the atheist wants you to believe. That is ludicrous. That everything came into existence by chance. It was random, no design. That is ludicrous. Who would accept that? If I said to you that Mercedes or BMW, it came together by chance, you would laugh at us. You would think that we have lost our minds. That is the narrative that the atheist wants to preach and promote. أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ. Were man created from nothing? أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ. Or did they create themselves? And also, that cannot be the case. How can something that did not exist create itself? That is why we have the Creator, Allah Azza wa Jalla, and the creation. And the Creator deserves to be worshipped along without any partners. As the brother, he mentioned the ayah, that was the call of every prophet and messenger. وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولًا أَنِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ. We sent to every nation a messenger commanding them to worship God, Allah alone without any partners, and to stay away from a taghut, false deities. If we are having a discussion and calling people to what we say is the truth, Naam, and Islam is the truth. Inna Deena Inda Allah Islam. The religion with Allah is Islam. Why do we find people they have to resort to lies? They will tell you that Muslims worship a moon god. Kadhib. One verse in the Quran it refutes that. من البداية للنهاية ومن آياته الليل والنهار والشمس والقمر لا تسجدوا للشمس ولا للقمر واسجدوا لله الذي خلقهن إن كنتم إياه تعبدون. From the signs of Allah, the Lord of all of the prophets, the Lord of Jesus, the Lord of Muhammad, the Lord of Abraham, is the night and the day, the sun and the moon. Do not prostrate to the sun and the moon. Prostrate to Allah, the one who created them, if you truly worship Him alone. Brothers and sisters, another issue I want to touch upon briefly. This issue of race, it is being used to divide us, especially the Muslims. وَلَا تَسْتَغْرِبُوا وَلَا تَتَعَجَّبُوا. Don't be amazed and do not be surprised. At the time in Al-Madinah, remember when they came to the tribes of Al-Madinah from the believers, and they tried to divide them based upon tribalism, saying to them, remember when you used to fight against one another, remember Fulan, he killed so and so from your family, remember such and such, to stir animosity and hatred between them. But the Prophet ﷺ, he would come to the companions and he would remind them about the essence of unity, which is what? What is our connection to one another? Even the connection that the angels, they seek forgiveness for the righteous servants of Allah Azza wa Jal. It is La ilaha illallah. It is the foundation of the religion. None has the right to be worshipped in truth except Allah Azza wa Jal. That is our connection that we have with one another. Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, Ya ayyuhan nas, O mankind, Inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha. We created you from male and female. We all come from the same place. Whether you are black, whether you are white, whether you are Arab, whether you are non-Arab, we all came from Adam and Eve. We all come from the same place, regardless of the color of our skin, regardless of the tribe that we belong to. Allah said in the Quran, Ya ayyuhan nas, O mankind, Inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha. We created you from male and female. Do not boast on the account of your tribe. Do not boast upon the account of your color. وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ. We made you into tribes and nations, different colors, speaking different languages. Why? So you may know one another. But the best of you before Allah are those with the most piety. What other religion preaches that? Islam, excellence, it depends upon the piety of the individual. At-taqwa, what is piety built upon? Piety is built upon a tawheed, Islamic monotheism, to worship Allah Azza wa Jal alone without any partners. So the more the servant perfects this, the better they are before Allah Azza wa Jal Tabarak wa Ta'ala. My brothers and sisters, do not allow people to divide you upon racial lines. So and so, we are this. So and so, we are that. What unites us is La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. None has the right to be worshipped in truth except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Chinese Muslim is our brother. The white Muslim is our brother. The Arab is our brother. The only thing that differentiates between us is piety. Who from amongst us is best in deeds? Because you have individuals, race, with regards to what is going on around the world. Now, emotions blind people. Emotions, yes, and racism exists. Prejudice exists. People now, without a shadow of a doubt, there is racism with regards to blacks. That's a fact. No one can deny it. There is racism, there is prejudice with regards to the Muslims. No one can deny it. However, for us, what matters? What matters, brothers and sisters, is the belief of the individual and their adherence to La ilaha illallah. None has the right to be worshipped in truth except Allah Azza wa Jal alone without any partners. And I will give you a story. A story from Islamic history that is well known. In Islam, do you know a religion like this? Remember the hadith that we find. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, Inna Allah yarfa'u bihadha al-kitab aqwaman. Allah will raise a people with this book. وَيَضَعْ بِهِ آخَرِينَ. And Allah will humiliate other people if they abandon this book. In Islam, people became leaders and judges based upon their knowledge of the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the extent it was said to one of the companions, after he advised that a freed slave was appointed as a leader over a particular vicinity and place, they said, so and so, you're going to appoint him and he's a freed slave? And they mentioned the hadith, verily Allah raises a people with this book, meaning if you adhere to the Quran and the Sunnah, Allah will raise you regardless of your color. Look now, from our scholars, you have Sheikh Muhammad Adam an Ethiopian from the muhaddithin of this time. You had Sheikh Muhammad Aman al-Jami, likewise. You have Mashayikh, ulama, major scholars from Africa, Saudi Arabia, Yemen. Sheikh al-Albani was a white European who served hadith more in this time than Sheikh al-Albani. I ask the Muslims, did we ever hear any of those scholars come with nationalistic calls? Any of them? Never. So brothers and sisters, with regards to us as Muslims, the mas'uliyah is azima, the responsibility is great, to invite the non-Muslims to the clear message of al-Islam, to avoid a lot of the divisionary tactics of some, to stay focused. The Prophet ﷺ, when he came with the Quran, to the extent when he recited ayat of the Quran, all it took was for a person to hear one verse and it would suffice him. Like for example the ayah we mentioned, أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ. Were they created from nothing or did they create themselves? One of the companions said, when I heard that verse, my heart almost flew out from my chest. Because when a person who is sincere, and there's a difference between someone who is sincere, we haven't got time to debate with foolish people who just want to debate, and people just want to scream. But somebody who is looking for the truth, yes, we have time for them, and we will sit with them, and we will explain to them, using the book of Allah, and the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Look, one verse, the companion, he said, my heart nearly came from my chest. What is better than the book of Allah Azza wa Jal? And that's why as Muslims, if we want to give da'wah, we have to learn. Barakallahu feekum. Astadinukum. I seek, permission. We have a lesson in East London. May Allah Azza wa Jal protect the Muslims wherever they are. And may Allah Azza wa Jal guide the non-Muslims to al-Islam. And may Allah Azza wa Jal protect us from what we witnessed in New Zealand, from the atrocities that we've seen. Naam. And as I saw a journalist, he said, Ikhwan, he said, we are not surprised. Because some people are pretending like they are amazed and surprised at what happened in New Zealand. Why are we surprised? Look at the rhetoric that we find in some of the tabloid press. Look at the rhetoric that you find even on some programs on the BBC, where they try and demonize Islam and make the Muslims who try to adhere to the religion of Islam appear to be backward. Look at the language that is used by some of the politicians that we find being elected in Germany. Look at the language that we witnessed from the politician in Australia who is an elected member. Imagine if a Muslim said anything similar to that. The thing that is fueling the right wing is this rhetoric where majority of Muslims condemn extremism. Majority of Muslims condemn ISIS. We condemn ISIS, we have been vocal with it. We condemn Qaeda and we have been vocal with it. We condemn Boko Haram and we have been vocal with it. We condemn Shabab and we have been vocal with it. The problem is when the media want to portray Islam and the Muslims, who do they invite? Anjem Chowdhury. When the media want to talk about Muslims, either they invite somebody from the extreme right or somebody from the extreme left. Anjem Chowdhury does not represent any of the Muslims except for that marginalized, deviant group known as Muhajirun, and they have never been mainstream Muslims. So why, if we want to portray the Islamic correct modern narrative, are we inviting the likes of Anjem Chowdhury? Why, when for example we see attacks like took place in New Zealand, do we see the media inviting the far right? Do we see them putting the KKK forward to present their narrative? We never find it. Why do we not find it? Because they want to present that they are moderate, they are balanced, and so on and so forth. When we have a message, the Muslims, walillah alhamd, they are moderate and balanced, because Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, we have made you a balanced nation. We are balanced in terms of our beliefs, and we are balanced in terms of our conduct and our behavior and the way that we interact with people. Ask people who live next to Muslims, who are Muslim neighbors, and the interactions. How many of them have had a bad word to say? Majority of them will tell you that that Muslim neighbor, they were honorable. That Muslim neighbor, they had integrity. Why? Because that's from our religion. May Allah grant the Muslim success, and may Allah forgive us for our shortcomings and our sins. Wa jazakumullahu khairan.